beaches, forestry, a dominant industry here in British Columbia, kind of leading with the amount of forest land we have. But something to note, kind of magical about the end of this lake is known as Three Valley Gap Resort. And it all came from small beginnings. We are going to continue along this lake for about 1 to 2 miles, bend a little bit more alongside it, and then it will open up, and about 1 o'clock you'll see this beautiful red-roofed 200-room resort. But it all began with Mr. Bell, Gordon Bell. He lived in Revelstoke, and his wife Ethel and his 4 children, they decided to move outside of Revelstoke and purchase this 7 acres of land along this lakeside property. And this was right before kind of the 1950s. And they moved out here and decided to kind of settle. They were lovers of antiques and history. And when the Trans-Canada Highway came through, which we're seeing on the opposite side of the lake here in 1950, he had purchased an old Canadian Pacific rail car and put it alongside the highway, advertising 5-cent coffees for weary kind of travelers. And those 5-cent coffees in that old style rail car grew to become this 200-room resort. He did some traveling with his children and wife and started collecting items, not only T-birds, but old rail equipment, even some of the old gold rush era kind of items. They saw, you know, at that time with the Trans-Canada Highway opening up in the 1950s, it was very much so the time of in with the new, out with the old, but they did not adopt this practice. They loved preserving their history. And they built what is known as kind of a roundhouse in the resort, where it's called the Heritage Ghost Town. They have items that they purchased and relocated. They dismantled, relocated it, and then built it back up. It's quite unique. We've got fantastic food here as well. We're just beginning to see some of the red roofs. And the resort, you could, rent a kayak.
They're going to blast that rock.
I
saw that. That was what was happening.
They have a helicopter launching pad.
So they could stick dynamite in there,
now,
probably.
do you see the road work, or sorry, the rock work across through all of these slats in the tunnel? Now, okay, so look over there. They're obviously doing maintenance. You can see the rock cuts. It's very dangerous, right? You can imagine how many rocks will fall down onto the highway. Well, here's this beautiful resort from small beginnings. There was a documentary done on Gordon Bell after he's passed, as his grandson is still operating and running this resort, and his grandson is being interviewed, and he shares with the interviewer a fond memory, if you will, and he said, you know, my grandpa went out after a huge rock slide had tumbled down on the Trans-Canada Highway, and he had his hands behind his back, and he approached the workers and asked them, what do you plan on doing with those rocks? And he said that the workers just looked at his grandpa like, crazy, we're getting rid of them and opening up the highway, simple. And he says, I'll take the rocks. So Gordon himself, brought back all of those rocks from the Monashees that were fallen on the highway, and he built a honeymoon cave. So essentially all of his rooms within the resort are themed. So that was his mindset. He always saw something unique, or he could utilize something that still was in this life, if you will. So that was an interesting little